Wednesday addiction. Humpin' It with Mello, D83, and the Maestro.
Hello and welcome, everyone. The week is almost over. You're halfway there. It's Wednesday hump day, and you're now humping it with Mello, D83, and the Maestro. Please, get your mind out of the gutter.
Did you ever have nightmares of being covered in ectoplasm? Or being stomped on by the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man? Well, get out your PKE meters and proton packs, because this is the podcast for you.
Apparently not for you.
Someone didn't practice.
I got tongue-tied. Because we ain't scared of no ghosts. Hello, podcast fam. Thank you for joining us this evening. Great to have you with us, fellow co-hosts. How are you doing tonight? Maestro, D83?
I was great until that intro. But okay. I'm just playing. Because I love Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
so I'm down with it.
I'm not scared of no ghosts. But I am scared of continuing this friendship with Maestro.
Sir, you don't have to be scared of that. There's no friendship.
Here we go again.
Just saying.
Oh my goodness. Well, tonight's discussion is love. Is it an action or is it a feeling?
An emotion.
I just threw up inside. Sorry.
Wow. All right, then. We know
Well, let's get into it.
This is a topic that I honestly, to be quite honest, I didn't really think about until my lady and I were having a discussion, and she brought up an interesting point, and I was just like, man, never did I think about it like that. But after we talked about it, I was like, okay, I see it, but then I was like, well, now I don't see it. And then I do see it. So, yeah, I know that went nowhere. That made no sense, but I just want you to know that's how it went in my head. So, I don't know, man. What do y'all think? Is love an emotion or is it an action?
I think it's neither and both.
Neither and both. I like that. Because I was going back and forth as well. I say it's an action. For me, it's an action, right?
Okay.
So when I think of an action, it's an expression, right? Right. Am I texting you throughout the day? Am I calling you during my breaks?
Mm-hmm.
Are we going out? Am I making plans? Spending my time with you? Am I bringing flowers just random days?
Mm-hmm.
You know, actions speak louder than words, so to speak.
Okay. I could dig that. Mello, you said it's neither and it's both. Explain to me the neither part. You lost me on that one. I'm just saying out.
So I'm going to try and keep it not long-winded. So scientifically speaking.
Oh Lord, I should have known better. Y'all, let me preface this by saying she just finished all her biology and all these exams. So listen, y'all about to get it. This is the full square bill back in action.
No, but this is what love is defined. Just very briefly, it's considered a chemical reaction. So with that being said, so it's not really an emotion or an action, but at the same time, the way we define love, outside of it being biological, I believe that in order to have those actions, there has to be feeling first for you to carry out those actions.
Okay.
So if you're not in love with somebody, you're not going to invest your time into texting them, giving them flowers, giving them your quality time, doing all the things that are considered loving?
I don't know, man. I have to. I have a rebuttal for that. So, let me say this. I believe, my personal belief, I think, based on my doing my research and just kind of, I think it's both, right? It is both. So you were saying it's a chemical reaction. So chemical reactions, or specifically concerning ourselves, our human beings and the way we operate. So chemical reactions that, cause, the best way to describe it, different. I don't want to.
You want me to give you?
No, I'm good. No, I'm good. No. We were about to be. Y'all was gonna be on here for the next 3 hours messing with it. I'm just saying. But those chemical reactions also, to me, they are defined as emotions, right?
Simply stated.
Emotions and feelings are two different things. Emotions are, by some definition, like Mello said, are those chemical reactions that happen within us in regards to, changes, environmental stimuli, or whatever. The feeling is our perspective wrapped around it, right?
Agreed.
So, to me, I think those are two different things. Now, you said, and I feel what you're saying, because I think traditionally, when we grow up, right, when, the world has us believing what love is, right? I got some notes here. Excuse me. Let me get to my notes here. So I want to make sure I'm of course I'm gonna put all these I gotta cite my resources because I want to pay respects to the people who I gathered some information from. But I thought I was reading through some stuff and this one struck me. It says our world celebrates the emotion of love and mourns the loss of it, yet also offers no hope for holding on to love. According to the world, love is a source of pleasure for people when they are lucky enough to experience it. And love is a source of pain for people when their circumstances change and they no longer feel loved. Mm. So I think that's accurate, right? As we grow up, especially anytime you watch television, anything Hollywood related, anything, what I'm saying? Love is this, it's almost this magical thing, right? And you watching a movie, love story, whatever, and everything just kind of happens. There's a situation. Typically, everything works out in the end. It's all, smiles and Hallmark cards, right? But I don't think that's not a true depiction of love, right? Now, I'm going to go here. Listen, so for the people that, my fellow believers, listen, for the ones that don't necessarily believe, it's cool. Just have an open mind and just, the Bible defines, or let's do this. Let's say it like this. God loved us, right? We know the verse. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son, right? And in the Bible, it depicts love as an action, right? So because God loved us, he gave us his son. Because Jesus loved us, he died for our sins, right? I'm going to go in both of those. There's the emotion and then there's the action, right? I don't think there's necessarily can be. The Bible also tells us to love our neighbors, right? We're supposed to do right by them. We're supposed to love them, right? Even without necessarily loving them.
Correct.
Does that make sense? Like, y'all follow me on that one? I feel like I'm not trying to preach, y'all. I'm just saying. I felt like a preacher for a second.
It's in your blood.
True.
Yes, true. It is.
Yeah. I don't know. I ain't gonna claim all that now. But but so I was reading through all this and I'm thinking like, oh man, because I can see the perspective of love being in action, right? So words don't necessarily amount to what the action says, right? So I can tell you I love you all day long, but do my actions reflect that, right? So I can see how people can understand and think, okay, yes, love is an action, right? My lady's gonna get on me, I know. Sorry, boo, but I still think it's they're hand in hand, right?
Yeah.
They're hand in hand, and even in the verse, "For God so loved the world," because He loved us, right? So that came first. The emotion of love came first to me. He gave His only begotten Son, so that love, that emotion of love, triggered the action, right?
Exactly.
So to me, love is both an action and an emotion, and I don't think you can effectively it can be effectively one or the other. You have to have love, because love triggers action, right? Let me say it like that. So, go ahead. You.
No, I'm just agreeing with you.
All right. So here's one of my. So this is one of my scenarios. So say you have a loved one that's going through a tough time, right? They're in the season of negativity. They're going through some things, and you know that you can't be around that person, right? Because either it's going to be detrimental to yourself, or it's going to take you out of character, right? You love that person nonetheless, but you're making the choice not to be around them for your own self, right? If you look at that action, the action doesn't necessarily denote that you love that person. If we're saying specifically love is an action, right? So the action of you avoiding them, does that equal love? You know, if somebody's looking at that, what are they gonna say? Nah, you know what I'm saying? Why you treating that person wrong? You ain't trying to help them out. No, but I love them, but I love myself as well, and I'm not gonna put myself in that situation. That doesn't necessarily negate the fact that I love them, right? I don't know what y'all think. That's up for debate.
Oh, I agree, because that's basically what I was saying when I said it was neither and it was both. You have a scientific definition of what love is, but then again, our perspective of what we come to know as love is this: you have to have the feeling in order for the actions to come afterwards. But something that I'm not sure as a society that we may be aware of is that in our language, we only have one word for love. And it can encompass anything from the super casual to what we talk about as loving our Heavenly Father, God. And, when you have a word that can be used interchangeably, I think sometimes meaning can be lost, especially to someone looking on the outside. But specifically what I'm trying to say, we can say that we love something and not really love it. We just happen to like it. You see what I'm saying?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Because in other languages, Greek specifically, they have 7 words for love. And they all mean something different.
What?
So I'm sure y'all have heard of the word agape.
Oh, yeah.
That is the highest form of love, which is in reverence to loving God. Mm-hmm. That's a love that's specifically loyalty, unconditional, set aside for Him. And then you have, I can't remember the word because
Eros.
they're a little hard to.
Eros.
Yeah, that's the next one down. But like the more basic one, I believe, is xenia. It's just like hospitality or friendship. It's a type of love, but it's not nearly on the level of agape. So when we say we love, what could that really mean? Oh, I love ice cream. Is that the same as saying I love my man? I love my husband? I
mean, it could be. Listen, I love you like a fat kid love cake.
But I mean, they should not be on the same level.
Why not? Why? You like, I love cake. I love you. What's the difference, man? Come on.
Oh, come on.
I'm just saying. I'm throwing that out there.
But yeah, I think compared to other societies, how we perceive love, and it's shown differently in different cultures. But I do still believe there's always action that comes with that feeling,
Now, was that
emotion.
Yeah.
Are we saying that? So, and I might be just mincing words, but so are we saying that our society perceives love differently, or is it that we just lack the vocabulary to specify the love that we have, right? So, and I say this. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, well, if you have a word, you grow up knowing what that word means.
Yeah, but
The lack thereof of having it doesn't necessarily mean we don't know what it is, but
Right.
we can use the same word.
and that's what we do.
Exactly.
Right.
But how do you denote the difference? You see what I'm saying? Because to one person, love might not mean the same to someone else when it comes to emotion or action. Someone who's maybe never been loved.
I see where you're going.
Could they really know how to love yet? I mean, it does take some practice.
Well, that leads me to my next question. What is love? I'm glad you asked. Here's what Merriam-Webster has as the definition of love, as a noun. All right? A strong affection for another arising out of kinship or personal ties, i.e. maternal love for a child. The next definition, attraction based on sexual desire, affection and tenderness felt by lovers. Affection based on admiration, benevolence, or common interests. An assurance of affection. These are all literal definitions under the word love. Unselfish, loyal, and benevolent concern for the good of another, such as the fatherly concern of God for humankind, a person's adoration of God, right? That says a noun. So our English language breaks this down between a noun and a verb, right? So the action, which is the verb, to feel a lover's passion, devotion, or tenderness, to like or desire actively, to take pleasure in. So that's what Merriam-Webster, straight from Merriam-Webster.
For a second there, I thought we were going to go with another Bible verse. Was it 1 Corinthians or something where it's love is patient, love is kind, love does not brag, does not
I was
boast.
gonna go
Hey,
there.
hey, listen, that's on the list. Don't play. That's on the
Is
list.
it?
I got that. Yes, sir.
First
You're the man.
One of my
Corinthians
favorites,
13, 4 through 7.
Yeah. But so let me just throw some. I just want to throw some more literature out because I was doing some heavy research in this, right?
Okay, I want your work site in MLA 9 format, please.
Listen, that's why I don't.
Yeah.
Some people, you can't send some people to school because they don't know how to act. I'm just saying, they don't know how to act afterwards, man. Oh my gosh. So this comes from The Naked Jesus by John O'Keefe. Please forgive me if I mispronounce his name. And he states that love is both an action and an emotion. And I quote, if we only see love as an emotionless, reasonable expression, we miss the passion of loving others. When we miss the passion of love, our acts of love are trapped in an emotionless state. We base our actions of love on logical, metered, meaningless expressions where we'll never meet the needs of others because our empathy, for others is closed. When we express love as an emotion, a passion, we naturally move forward in action to show how love changed us and can change others. So, I think that kind of coincides, at least what I was thinking, love is definitely an emotion, right? And we transform it into a feeling, right? And that, I don't know if that made sense, but I said it anyways. And that triggers an action. That triggers us to, hey, okay, I love my spouse. I want to make sure that I do everything I can for them. I don't want them to have any wants, needs, or nothing. They need to be taken. I want a smile on their face every day, right? So I think in that aspect, that's where there is a difference. It's both.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It is both.
I'm starting to lean towards that. It definitely has to be both. Like you said, it goes hand in hand. I can only speak from my, past relationship, where, the action being when she stated to me, that we needed more money, and the action for me was I ended up finding more side work and was working nonstop, not coming home till 9 o'clock every night, working 7 days a week. I didn't want to do those things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely horrible.
Right.
But I did so because, I loved her.
Right.
So I was like,
Man.
as a family, we need this. I don't want to do this.
Right.
But I'm going to do this.
Right. Right.
So that being the action. And then the feeling was me repeating in my head, you can do this. You got to do this.
Mm-hmm.
We need this.
Mm-hmm.
Suck it up.
Right.
Keep going. And the other feeling too be, simple things, like we both had this real strong love for Avant, the artist,
Mm-hmm.
and his music. We actually got to see him as well, which is an awesome concert. But, even still to this day, I can't help myself. But when I hear certain Avant's, songs, I still,
Mm-hmm.
think of her, just
Mm-hmm.
it is what it is. So it's definitely a feeling, and it is, an action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can dig it. Yeah, man. So I know it's a lot of Bible verses, but doesn't matter. We're just gonna put them out there. Oh, that's the one you already said. Yeah, 1 Corinthians 13, 4 through 8. Love suffers long and is kind. Does not envy. Does not parade itself. Is not puffed up. Does not behave rudely. So, what is this actually saying? Is that actually describing what love is, or is it describing the actions that follow the emotion? Right? Because I love you, I'm not going to act this way. Like, I'm not going to just, I don't know. What y'all think?
I don't know. Sometimes I think it's also kind of like a self-check for yourself. If you're feeling the opposite of what it's saying you should feel, then is it really love? Maybe you have to check yourself. You have to check your heart first to see if these opposites are kind of going on, because these should not be in you if you are truly loving someone.
Right?
Okay. I can dig it. And yeah, go ahead. What you got, D3?
So it was kind of off topic. Well, it's on topic, but off topic. That was Paul, correct? Wasn't it Paul? Because he used to be Saul, then he became Paul.
Listen, man. Listen, you try.
And wasn't he being asked, what does he know what love is, right?
Yeah, you about to be.
The only reason why I even know that would be because Paul is actually my favorite character in the Bible.
I can dig it.
I like his story.
Yeah. His story.
I love it. He was once evil.
Yeah.
Or a bad man.
Persecuted.
And then
Yeah, Paul wrote at least 2 letters to the church in Corinth. And a significant portion of each was dedicated to resolving problems within the church.
Oh, look at her.
And then the road to Damascus changed all that, correct? Yeah, he was on the road to Damascus, where he started from the horse. I'm sorry, I love it.
No, you good. I'm tripping off of Bella. Bella was like, yeah.
No, because I have the article already pulled up, but it was just going into detail. But it's giving some other verses in here too.
It was the way you did that. I couldn't pass it up, y'all. I couldn't pass it up. I'm sorry. I'm just saying. But yeah, man. But yes, the road to Damascus. Yes, and that's when yep. And he was blinded. And yes, so yeah, you're right about that. But yeah, man. Um, I think to kind of not to jump around, but to touch back on what Mello said a little bit too is oftentimes because we grow up maybe with a skewed understanding of what love is, right? We incorrectly use that word, right? We incorrectly assign it to a person or a thing that shouldn't hold that label, right?
Yeah.
So like how do we get a better understanding, right? How do we break that cycle? How do we start to use this word as it's intended? I don't. That's a question for y'all. Yeah, I'm gonna cue the Jeopardy music in a second.
For me, I think it just takes really dialogue. I think people have to talk about it. And that can be like so broad, but if you haven't really experienced love growing up, it's hard to know what love is becoming an adult. But I think if you can get together with people who maybe have had similar upbringings or experiences and just have some sort of dialogue as, maybe this is what I had experienced in my life as love.
Right.
Is this the correct way to view it? I mean, there are always professionals there, and we always know that people might not always feel comfortable talking to professionals. But I think if you can find peers who are trying to find, a good answer to a question, I think it's definitely more constructive than you hanging on to broken truths of what might not be.
Okay, I can take that, man. I think unfortunately, I think one of the ways most people learn is by, I won't say failing, but learning the hard way, right? Taking and I think again that kind of falls into line with what I've talked about before, and that's once you've been through a situation, right? Say you love somebody, and it didn't work out. I think that's the optimum time to sit down and reflect, right? All right, what is love? What is love to me? What does it look like? What does it feel? What do I feel? Because again, without, you can perform the actions, right? But I think, excuse me, y'all. All right, I'm back. Lost my voice. You can perform the actions, but the actions alone, without the emotion, can sometimes be empty.
They are.
So you got to find out what is it how do you like to be loved? What are the actions that you look for or that you want to receive? What are the emotions, that you feel for somebody, right? It's just a self-reflection time. I think that's the optimum time. Get out your situation, take some time, learn to love yourself. That's, everybody says that. That's kind of cliche in this whole thing. You know what I'm saying? You got to learn to love yourself, right? But that's hard. It can be very hard, right? Without us even realizing it. But it's an important aspect, right? You got to learn to love yourself. Because once you learn to love yourself, you know how to love other people, right?
Yeah.
It comes a lot easier, I think.
And I think really that's the hardest part for a lot of people is learning to love who they are. Because I think we sometimes get so caught up in what we don't like or comparing ourselves or where we should be to everybody else or our failings that we are more apt to come down on ourselves as opposed to try and uplift ourselves, which I know can be hard at times. I would also think that it would be a good idea to learn your love language.
That's a good
What
point.
speaks love to you? And for those of you who aren't familiar with the love languages, they are words of affirmation, meaning you like being expressed, um, or
Verbally.
having, right, words of affirmation, affectionate words, uplifting words, quality time, people giving undivided attention to you, uh, doing activities with you where it just involves, you and that other person. Physical touch, it can be hugs, kisses, more intimate gestures.
Get your mind out of the
Um,
gutter. The 83.
When now look, when have you known me to have my mind in the gutter?
Every day. Every minute of every day.
oh,
Sir. Sir.
Iro. Lies. Lies.
Clearly.
Lies.
Clearly.
It's a good thing people don't hear us off air.
Exactly. Oh, buddy.
very good thing. Acts of service. These involve helping out with tasks or responsibilities, like helping out with the chores,
You can help
that
me out
sort
with
of
my
thing.
taxes. That's what I
thought
thought you
that's what
said.
you was gonna say.
That's how me too.
Receiving gifts.
Give me that refund check. That's a gift. I'll take that.
Sometimes, receiving things, not so much the actual thing itself, but the fact that someone thought
action.
enough about
Right,
you
yeah.
to want to,
Mhm,
give you something. Everybody, they may have more than one, but there's usually more than one that kind of connects more with you than the others. And it would be a good idea to learn. And when getting involved with somebody else, learn theirs. What speaks to them? What
Listen,
shows them?
That's real. I'm gonna be. That's real. Like, I think in a lot of relationships, it starts out great, right? You go through this period of euphoria.
Honeymooning.
Yeah, right. Euphoria. Everything is great. You know what I'm saying? You're just overjoyed, everything.
Because it's new.
Yeah, exactly.
The newness. The newness.
The thing about love, though, is love takes time. To me, right? Let's say this: to stay in love takes time, takes an effort,
Yes.
takes work, right?
Lots of work.
It's just not something that happens and in the beginning and it just maintains throughout the relationship, right? Obviously, if that was the case, we wouldn't have divorce rates. We had divorces, right? So understanding that love, it's gonna take some work. You gotta put
It takes
some
a
effort
lot of work. Don't
gotta put that
don't
effort in.
shortchange it.
You know what I'm saying?
It
You
does.
gotta put that work in, right? Just because we're humans, right? We change, we evolve as we get older. Things change within us. Our perspectives changes. So what I'm saying, you can't expect that whole concept. Things change. Like I said, I can't phrase that any differently. I want to though. But understanding, like I think that's the one thing people lack understanding of is that love takes work.
Yes.
You just can't expect a relationship to happen just because of love and to make it last because of love. Like
Right.
you can't communicate. You might love each other, but you suck at communication, right? Because you don't understand how that person communicates, or let's go back to what you were saying. You don't understand that person's love language, right? You think because you might, like gifts, right? The other person might not show their love like that. They might be physical touch. All right. So you're going to have to come together on that. If you don't express this in the beginning and have conversations about this, and nothing ever gets said, it builds into resentment because now you feel like that
Yes.
person doesn't love you or, what I'm saying, you're putting in more effort than the other person when no, you're just not privy to how they're showing you their love. Right.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
but, that's just
But Mello said something earlier, about the, which you hear a lot too about, learning to love yourself and then, making it easier for you to love someone else, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to in some way have to disagree with that. Like, can you still not love yourself, but then that makes it you're able to love someone even more, right? Because you're giving all that love to someone else, or for at least for me, again, in my past
Mm-hmm.
relationship, right, was I'm someone who definitely feels like I do take time out for myself. I love myself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I do things for myself, even more so now than I ever have. Now that I'm not with someone, but even when I was with someone, I still loved myself, right?
Mm-hmm.
I took time to take care of myself, working out, eating healthy. I've always felt like I was a very attractive person. I love myself. Okay, right? But I'm getting to that to say this. I don't think I did a good job. I do not think I did a good job of expressing my love for my former partner. As far as, like even now reflect on certain things, like when I have dinner dates with the kids. It's easy for me to jump right into that every single week. Every single week I take that long ride to go see my kids and have dinner dates because I love my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I would die for either one of them.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Do anything for them. And I sit back and look and say, I never did that for her. I should have. Right?
Mm-hmm. I can dig it.
And
So I
Yeah,
touched two things as far as can you, does loving yourself make it easier for you to love someone else, as well as something you had said, Maestro, as far as crap, where was I going with it now? And T totally lost that.
That's the
reflecting.
AGE.
When you were talking about reflecting after you've been in a relationship, reflecting on things.
Yeah. So here's one thing.
And I'm not that old.
Yeah, you are. You're ancient,
I just turned 32 the other day.
sir.
32
You're the youngest.
and a half, and a half to be exact.
You're the youngest version of male pattern baldness I've ever seen. I'm sorry. Bitch, come back. Don't go. Come back. Real quick though. So I think initially you were saying, can you not love yourself and love somebody more? Right? Am I correct?
Because
So
I'm like, you're putting all your love into that person.
here's the issue with that.
You don't think that's possible?
No, because I think oftentimes what that becomes is dependency. You're depending on that person now to sustain them, right? Because you don't have it for yourself, right?
correct.
like that.
And that leads into bad situations, right? That leads into staying in a situation longer and accepting more, whatever it is, negativity, abuse, just bad.
Dysfunction.
Yes, thank you. Than you should, right? Loving yourself is all about understanding yourself, respecting yourself, and embracing yourself, right? If you love yourself enough, you know that you can't tolerate certain things.
Correct.
And you love yourself enough to not tolerate it. And I think that's the important piece of loving yourself. If you put all that love into somebody else, you elevate that person above you. Now, I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but if you can't find, it should be an even thing to me, right? Like, you can't put somebody up above you, and their value, their worth becomes more than yours, because then you need that person to sustain it and keep that image of love, or keep yourself sustained. That's not the way I wanted to explain it, but that's the way it came out.
No, I think
Y'all got what I'm saying. Y'all got
that was
what
well
I'm saying.
said.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's a
But
dangerous game. Yeah.
But I also think that in order to love someone in a healthy way, you have to know what love is, and it starts with yourself. And what I mean by healthy is knowing how much to give, knowing that when you do reciprocate it, that it's not, as you said, Maestro, because you need to have it. But you know it's a mutual thing. I think a lot of times we get caught up in, you know, oh, what I wanted to say too is the way you love your children is how you should love the person that you're with. Being willing to die for them, because to me,
I'm just playing. It was a joke. I'm sorry. It was a joke. I was just playing. I was just playing. Lord have mercy.
does your lady friend know that?
It was a joke. It was a joke. It was a joke. Gosh. Nico, see, it ain't not like family to set you up. Do you know? Y'all might not see me next podcast, but I'm just saying, man.
No, but just as God loved us is how we should love. We should love our neighbors that way, but no less our partners, our spouses. So for you to be able to have that, you have to know a higher love, whether it's through the Heavenly Father, whatever you believe in, or at least having that for yourself to be able to give it.
I can dig that.
Yeah.
That's real talk.
Yeah.
That's real talk. We could probably go on for 2-3 episodes with this, but
I know it's approaching that time. I think we've had an amazing discussion, and I hope it's lent everyone some very valid insight. But it will do it for us tonight. Maybe we can pick up another time, branch off. Who knows? But thank you so much for joining us. If you haven't already, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you have any suggestions, please let us know on our YouTube. We look forward to hearing any of your input. Until next time, we will see you. Peace out.